Hello traders, this is the second video for today, Sunday, October 20th, 2024. I'm gonna go over 10 additional names. Let's get to it. As per usual, please make sure to do your own due diligence and research before you decide to invest in stocks or any other type of investments. This content is for educational purposes only. This is not financial advice. That being said, let's start with Lulu, name that I haven't mentioned in a while, or it might actually be the first time I mention it. The only reason I am mentioning this is because Lulu had a pretty dramatic drop from this level right here at 515, and today is trading at 291. It's pretty incredible. It went down all the way to almost below 230 actually, and it got into this range, broke on this trend line that I did put. I think I mentioned this on, or I post something on Lulu and on X, and then we continue on this range between 282, 245. Now we're breaking that level. It would be interesting to see if this candle right here is a confirmation for a retest. It was up 2.8% on Friday. So we'll see if this is gonna take this stock to a higher level. I don't have any levels situated here. Actually, we can argue that this could be a good level. We'll see if it retests this level or not. But this level also is coinciding with this volume shelf, so I guess it could be a little bit reliable. We'll see what happens in the next few days, but I like the fact that it had a nice reaction from this support level at 245 or 246, and then continue going towards 282, broke that level, and now is kind of retesting it. Keep an eye on Lulu. I think my theory on Lulu is that the trend of wearing, especially for females, wearing yoga pants to basically go to the grocery store, for example, is fading, and you can see a reflection of those trends that come and go on the stock price. Now, that being said, I wouldn't be surprised, and Lulu might, continue doing well as a business. But again, they also have a lot of competition, especially coming from Alo, and it seems like every time I go to the gym, people are not wearing Lululemon. Instead, they're transitioning to a different kind of high-end type of clothing, and some other people are just buying, stuff that is more affordable and it's the same quality and the same purpose, So, and again, the trend of yoga pants for females being worn to do absolutely everything, in my opinion, seems to be fading away. Anyways, keep an eye on Lulu, at least for the short term. I would be very surprised and this thing goes back to prior prices. Honestly, we'll see what happens after earnings. Let's see what they have to say on guidance or whatnot. But earnings are not until December. Still a lot of time. That's what I have for Lulu. Now let's move on to Mara. And I'm mentioning Mara. I did mention on the last video CLSK. On the prior video, I did mention Coinbase, and anyways, I've been mentioning Bitcoin as well quite often, and the reason is because it seems like Bitcoin is moving a little bit. Let's keep an eye on Mara chart right here. You have this move right here, but I want to show Bitcoin really quick. As of the time of this video, Bitcoin is still on the same range as of what I did on the last video. There's a little bit of volume, but we'll see what we get on Monday or tomorrow, and the rest of the week. Now, if Bitcoin continues to move towards the 71 price or level, I think, and we all know, that these names are going to continue moving. Now, I did mention Mara on the 12th, which was let me see, right here. So I was looking at this candle. The 12th was a Saturday. So then on Monday and rest of the week, we had a nice move, basically from 1623 up to our current price, which is 1888. And again, I do think that there might be a continuation if Bitcoin continues to move. Another thing that I always say about Mara is how it moves. It's very violent on the way up and on the way down. So be very careful. I like the fact that it broke this triangle pattern right here. It also went over resistance at 16.8. It went over that 325 SMA, which is this line right here, right on that resistance level as well. It mounted, it got rejected, then it mounted again. It kept that level. And then the last three trading days, you kept going up. Now you have the 200 SMA here, and this level as well, which you have your resistance at 19.4. If we break 19.4 with the help of crypto moving up or higher, I think we're definitely gonna have a continuation towards 22. 22.7, however, is not my price target. This type of stocks like Mara, I don't like to put a price target considering how sensitive they are to crypto. However, I think if we break the 200 SMA and this resistance level, we might have a nice continuation. It's all dependent on how Bitcoin or crypto is behaving. So keep that always in mind. Let's move on to Meta. And let me take a note on Meta really quick. Okay, so we got to all-time highs right here. I think that Meta at this point, long term, is a $750 stock. However, we have a lot of stuff going on the market. I haven't seen negative news, and there's some people panicking because the president of China said that they have to prepare for combat, which is nothing unusual for any mandatory to say that. I haven't seen anything really serious about what is happening in the Middle East. However, the conflict is still there. And then we also have our own issues, which is the economy, that in my opinion is most of the data that we have is not real. But also we have elections coming in about, 20 days or so? So we have to keep that in mind, all those factors. And we might get a little bit of a gift if this trend continues going down towards 543. Now, why am I considering 543? Because you are about to get into a low liquidity area. And if that happens, that magnet towards 153 will probably happen. Now, keep an eye on that 35 SMA first. And I think if we break that 35 SMA, if this continues to go down, then we're probably going to meet 553. That would be an absolute gift. Remember when we were down here and I was telling you back in May that Meta was gonna rally, and it did, and then you had this nice pullback, and then you continue going back up. This stock moves very nicely. Back in this time, and go back to those videos on back in May, I was talking about Microsoft, Meta, and also Netflix, and I was saying these three names are just gonna move, and I was basing my opinion on the fact that indicators during that time wearing that negative, or catalysts wearing that negative, and also what I was seeing on the behavior on these indicators, the MACD and the TSI. Now, talking about the MACD and the TSI, they in this case are looking not too good. They're looking bearish. If this momentum continues, I think we might meet the 35 SMA, and at that point, maybe you can reassess what would be best as far as jumping in, or just let it play a little bit and see if it's going to continue going down towards 553. Again, if we hit that level, 553, that would be nothing but a gift. And even if it goes lower, I think that Meta has a lot going on. I think that Zuckerberg is like waking up to do focus on business as he should instead of other things. So yeah, I have good expectations for Meta. However, it looks like it's going to continue to drop in the next few days. We'll see what happens in the next week or so, and let's see what they have to say into earnings. So it would be fantastic for real if we keep going towards the 35 SMA and then we get good earnings, which is very possible, and then you're gonna have a nice move to the upside. That's what I have on Meta. And now, since I mentioned also Microsoft, let's do Microsoft. And I've been hoping for I think when we were I don't recall correctly, but I think when we were here, like breaking this level right here, I was really hoping for below 400. But we're still navigating the 415, which is this level right here. It's support, it's been support resistance quite a few times in the last week and a half or so, or 2 weeks. We are right now right under the 200 SMA, which is this line right here. We are under this trend line as well. We're right above support, which is 415. It's a very stubborn, very strong level of support at this point. Breaking this down with any momentum would probably bring us towards 400, very close to it, in my opinion, or maybe we might hit this level right here. But if there is any buyer's momentum, we might start moving towards 430, 431 steadily. We'll see. Earnings are coming on the 30th, so that is in 10 days. So it's a week and a half. MACD and TSI are neutral. RSI is neutral as well. Those are good indications. So one thing that I like about Microsoft is that it's not really pushing too hard to the upside, but it's also not being pushed to the downside very hard. So there's a little bit of an uncertainty there. I like the fact that it's consolidating a little bit, and that might give us a nice surprise into earnings. Again, I have no idea if they're going to beat or not, or what the reaction of the market is going to be to their earnings. But that being said, I'm just waiting on Microsoft. I'm waiting on Meta. There are some names that I'm just waiting. I'm just keeping an eye on them. And, if I go long, I would probably go with expirations towards past March. So either April or May, even June, and then just let it play. I think it's safer right now, considering everything that is happening on with the election and stuff that I just mentioned before. Anyways, let's move on to another name that was very good to me, and that is MU. And let me take a note. And okay, one of the things that I took advantage of, and I'm gonna be honest, without really knowing, I saw this setup. I didn't notice earnings were coming. I bought a bunch of calls. Next day, I had a lot of money on my brokerage account, and so I thought this was going to move slowly. So I'm just trying to be as transparent as possible here. And I sold on this day. I was like, I wasn't expecting this, and I really felt like even though I made money, I felt like I made a mistake because I didn't take my time to look that earnings were coming. If I would have noticed that, trust me, I would have, put a second thought before buying calls. Anyways, I didn't notice earnings were coming. I bought this day before close. I bought some calls. Next day, it was a beautiful day. I sold everything the same day, right at open. I didn't care. And little that I knew this was gonna, and I kind of had a suspicion, this kind of started, filling the price gap that we had here. Then we came back. Now, one thing that I like is that we are coming back with some momentum, and we are over the 200 SMA. We're over this resistance level at 107. Now we want to see what is going to happen and how we're going to behave towards 117.3. MACD and TSI don't look overextended. RSI is not looking bad at all. So it's another waiting game. Probably if sellers come in, we're probably going to go towards the 200 SMA or the 107 level. You have a nice volume shelf right here. So it might have a little bit of a resistance, for a continuation to the downside if that happens. But I like the fact that we had this nice move right here. We filled a little bit of this gap. The 35 SMA is pointing up. We're nice over the 200 SMA. For now, I think it looks pretty safe. Options, as far as I remember, are not that expensive, but you want to see this developing a little bit more. Maybe it's better if we go down towards 107, retest a level, and then continue going towards 117. Great opportunity here. If you were here, a little bit difficult to really spot this after you see this sell-off right here. So a little bit risky, or at least a feeling of risk getting back in this. But again, it would be optimal, and I would probably jump in if we retest this level. And at that point, I would probably jump into this name. Also, you have, I guess, other earnings and whatnot that might have, some sort of effect on how this behaves. So for the next 2 weeks, also, I would like to say, just be very careful. Just sometimes it's just easy and safer not to trade. Nothing is going to happen. You really don't have to chase a market. Let's move on with NQ. And I just wanted to, one of the things that I was saying last week was if we are over 23 or 20.3, we are bullish, give or take. There is not a lot of momentum, but we're keeping this level, which is a good thing. MACD and TSI are flat. RSI is, is neutral, pointing up, kind of like crossing the signal line. That's not bad. I think, as long as we maintain this level right here, the market is going to be kind of like a safe area for buyers or for bulls. If we break under 20.3 and continue going towards 19, and we break 19.6, at that point, I would be more on the bearish side. You have a nice volume shelf right here, which is a nice area of resistance. The 35 SMA is also moving upwards towards this area as well. We'll see what happens this week. We'll see how NASDAQ is going to be, I guess, how susceptible NASDAQ is going to be with earnings reports and everything else. We have quite a few companies that actually would have an impact on the NASDAQ behavior and the market in general coming up pretty soon. Keep that in mind. For now, as of where we are looking at the on the chart, we are still up or over the 20.3 level. Let's move on now to another crypto name, if I can find it, and that is, where are you? Riot. So it's moving very nicely. I really like this. I haven't taken a look on Riot until yesterday. I was looking at Riot and I was like, wow, this looks pretty good. It moves slower than Mara. Back in 2020, 2021, they used to move in synchronicity. They were like, it was the same, almost the same trading Riot and Mara. And sometimes Riot would perform a little bit better, but it seems like Mara is doing much better as far as what you see in the chart. But I like the fact that you had this nice consolidation. There's not a lot of drama going on in this chart. You went over the 8.7 resistance level, and now you're moving towards the 200 SMA. The TSI and the MACD are looking okay, but we might get overextended if we get a couple of more green candles with more momentum. But again, these moves are very related to how Bitcoin is behaving. If Bitcoin has a little of a pullback, this name would probably see a nice pullback with big candles as well. But anyways, on Friday, you were up 7.17%. That's not bad. That's very nice. And the move in general, as soon as you broke over and retested that 35 SMA, you had a nice move going over this resistance level, retesting it a couple of times, and then going up. We'll see what is the reaction on the 200 SMA on the next few days. You have a nice volume shelf right here. That could also be a little bit of a resistance factor for this name. RSI is a little bit overbought, so be very cautious. If you actually cut this move, especially on the retest, beautiful. I'm not putting any other level right now. I'm not putting any level in the bottom because I will probably, if we break 8.7, but for now it's looking decent. A little bit risky as far as how it looks, as far as what my eyes are looking at. But again, if Bitcoin continues to move towards 70 and maybe beyond, who knows, then all these names are definitely gonna benefit from that. Let's move on to another name that is been moving pretty decently, and I mentioned not that long ago, and that would be SoFi. And a little bit worrisome. Let's put a little bit. I like to put, if I could find it. I think it's here. No, what am I doing? I like to put. And these are my favorites. So, anyways, these rectangles here, so they mark price gaps. Normally, not all the time, they fill. And so for me, it's a good way of looking areas also of liquidity or lack of. Anyways, SoFi is moving very aggressively. You went over this trend line that I put, that I started back on July of 2023. And then if you can see, you're going here once, twice, 3 times, you broke on it, got rejected, and now you bounce on the 200 SMA, went over the 325 SMA, and you had this very nice move towards 10.20. And let's see what happens next week, tomorrow and the following days. You have earnings coming on Tuesday the 29th, so that is in 9 days. And I don't know, it makes me nervous to get to trade like this when you are so close to earnings, because how much can you extend the stock? I mean, it could happen if they have fantastic earnings, and then you move towards what would be the next level. I mean, you just keep moving towards something else. I don't have any level past this, but we can maybe argue that there is a supply and demand area right here at 1165, maybe. I don't know. It makes me a little bit nervous that it's moving like this right before earnings. We'll see what happens. If earnings are fantastic, that would be great. It would be optimal to have this going down towards 9.2 before earnings, so you still have week and a half to get to that point, and then you can have a nice move to the upside if earnings are actually good. We are a little bit overextended on the MACD, TSI, and RSI is overbought, so just be cautious on this area right here. You really don't want to overtrade this name, especially with this type of extension. Also, the 19 or 11.2 level seems to be pretty strong, so keep an eye on this level as well. If you break it, then you're going to continue moving. There's low liquidity. There's low liquidity to the downside as well. Be very careful with this name. Now let's move on with, I'm not sure why I have this on my list. Let's take a look. So let's take a look at Uber, and oh, that's why. Okay, so, and this should be on the weekly. I think I did post this on, and that's why I have it on my list on X back when we had this formation right here on the weekly chart. So you have a head and shoulders or a reverse head and shoulders. We came here. I think this is related to the robotaxi situation with Uber, with Tesla, and then you had a sell-off this week. If you go to the 1-day chart, you had a nice break on this, so you can go to my page on X and see this setup, which I post probably somewhere on this area right here. It moved very nicely, passing resistance at 73.5. You went straight to 86, 87, and now you are selling off, which is to be expected, right? There was a gap right here, which is about to be filled. That's why I always put these rectangular figures right when I see gaps, because normally or quite often they get filled. Anyways, don't be surprised and you continue going towards the 35 SMA. You have a little bit of volume right here or liquidity, so there might be a little bit of resistance to the downside. We'll see what they come up with on the 31st, which is next week, 11 days from now, from today. And just be careful. It would be great, again, if there's a lot of names that are setting up like this. If we go down towards 73 and then they have great earnings. But again, I'm not, I don't like trading earnings. And the last earnings report that I traded was MU, and it was by mistake, and it played out on my favor. I think before that I did Intel to the downside, but it was very obvious. And so that's why I did trade Intel to the downside, and it paid off pretty well as well. Anyways, MACD and TSI are looking bearish. RSI also is looking bearish. Again, you have a little bit of a volume liquidity here, so that might be a little bit of a resistance level to the downside. I think we are going to meet that 35 SMA somewhere at the area of 75. And let's finish this video with this name, Zillow. And I was following, as you can see, I've been following Zillow for a while. I thought that we will continue, or we were going to flag. We had one flag right here, second flag right there. I don't think I mentioned Zillow in any videos or any X posts, but it was in my radar. As you can see, these drawings are not old, but they're at least this one is 2 weeks old and this is older. Anyways, in my opinion, this was very extended. When we were at this point, I was thinking if there is a little bit of a momentum to the upside, this might be another opportunity just like this one. However, if you were looking also here on the MACD and the TSI, you also had a contradiction, meaning that the stock is gaining momentum to the downside. Well, we went down to resist or support at 59.7, let's say 60, and now you're rebounding. You also had a resistance level on the 35 SMA, which is being respected so far. On Friday, it closed at 1.72% to the upside, which is a good thing. Let's see how this behaves. I would love to see the MACD and the TSI developing a little bit more and see if we're going to go down towards support at 60 or if there is going to be a continuation. But this flag right here is not valid anymore. So that got invalidated by price. And maybe you can argue, well, now that the flag is longer or whatever, let's take a look at the weekly. Maybe you can have a little flag right here, but I mean, that's pushing it a little bit. For now, I want to wait. I like the fact that how this is moving. I do own real estate businesses, and Zillow is still very useful, but I don't think it's that useful to get leads for real estate agents. I think that SEO is better at this point, and I think there are other methods or even Facebook ads on Instagram and TikTok and that sort of stuff is better for leads. And a lot of companies are not, where a lot of real estate agents are going to companies like EXP, I believe it is. And let me take a look. I have a business card here from, yeah, I think it's EXP or something. But yeah, EXP. And I don't know. I think one of the things that Zillow was making a lot of money was with lead generation for teams and that sort of stuff. So I don't know. But that being said, a lot of people, including myself, continue in most of you, if you're looking for a house, go to Zillow and do they have some cool new features that do like the 3D tours and VR tours and that sort of stuff. That's pretty cool. We'll see. Hopefully they figure out a more efficient way of generating revenue. And we're going to find that out on earnings, which is in November, I guess. November 6th. So keep an eye on this. Keep an eye on this level, 50 or 60. Keep an eye on the 35 SMA. And I like the fact that Zillow has been moving to the upside with a very nice rallies. But you also had a little bit of, I guess, disappointments on earnings and whatnot, and this was pretty obvious in this area right here. Now we're talking about the past, but talking about the present, we'll see how we behave towards earnings. Don't be surprised, and you're gonna see something just like what you saw back in July towards earnings that were in the beginning of August. We might have a mirror or a similar situation going into earnings. There might be an opportunity. Keep an eye on Zillow. Looks interesting. A lot of people were going, or when we were up here, there were some people in good traders, in my opinion, in on X saying this is gonna go up, and I just didn't see it. That's why I put a little flag there, but I was like, if it doesn't break, it doesn't break, and it kept going down. Anyways, and I didn't see it, just to close this, I didn't see it because the MACD and the TSI were telling me something else. Now, these are not 100% reliable indicators, but they tell you a story about the stock that could be helpful, quite often, Anyways, that's all I have. Thank you, everybody. See you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.